Okay, I will begin with a question to Madame Yuli Ismartono. You had an experience as well in Afghanistan, covering this conflict. Could you speak about this with us?
What specifically did you want to know? I mean, it's as a woman. Oh, okay. Well, you know, I covered Afghanistan when it was in transition between the just when the Russians were leaving and just before the Taliban came in. I don't think that Afghan society at that particular time was as strict on women as they are now. I was able to go around just with a shawl around my head, wearing trousers, and I had no difficulty whatsoever. I stayed alone at the much bombarded Intercon Hotel, which the lights sometimes went off on occasion, and I would share a floor with the Pashtun tribes. And again, but I did have to be careful. I had the support and advice of a veteran war and foreign correspondent from Australia, Kate Webb, who was at that time the bureau chief of the Agence France Presse, and so I learned from her. Mind you, I was very lucky because just walking on the street, you could be victim of the bombing. But now I cannot say how it would be now.
Regarding reporting on violence, do we have a question in the room?
This is Jason. I'm from the Agence France Presse. I'd like to ask a question for Ms. Pinpakan Amsan. It was very interesting when you were talking about Les Majest earlier. One of our colleagues from around the region, Mr. Andrew McGregor-Marshall, previously of Reuters news agency, had run into some very serious trouble about reporting very sensitive issues in Bangkok. I'd like to know, since you were talking about social media, how has it helped in empowering people to talk about very sensitive issues in your country? Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I have to tell you all that actually I come here instead of my coordinator, Jiranut Premchapan, who was accused by the Computer Crime Act and due to the Les Majest, and she has to go to trial. But finally, it's postponed by the flood because the judge has to take care of his house, so he just postponed the trial to the next February. For the Les Majest, actually, I can share you my observation through Facebook, and there are a lot of academies went there to just express their opinion about the Les Majest. And actually, Pracha Thai is like the website that continue present or open the space for the expression or opinion about the problem about the Les Majest and freedom of expression in Thailand. So that's why we face now is around dozens of charges due to the Les Majest ourselves. So in Facebook, there, yeah, I can observe there's a lot of Facebook users. They can talk about it openly because Facebook doesn't how to say censor. So sometimes I see the status from some people, but I just avoid to share it because finally that will make the problem. So I think social media is still like a free space for the opinion of the people in Thailand. But you have to be aware about the witch hunting because it's quite strong in the social media as well. There are a huge group of witch hunting in Facebook as well, and also for Prasha Thai website, even we try to how to say, open the space for the opinion, but we have like our fans who monitor our content and go to the police station to sue us day by day. So there are some how to say, a group and some guy who's very effective industrial to do that. So we just get asking from the police station, can you give us more information about this? Is due to insulting the king, or maybe it's violate the Computer Crime Act? So anyway, we try to stand to open the free space for people to express their opinion, even though it's controversial that some can criticize us like it's like the opinion sometimes is rude or it's just useless to talk to how to say to discuss. But anyway, we cannot just, okay, this is like it's not good comment, but we cannot. I think if we stand for freedom of expression, we should open the space for people and let them learn how to express their feeling or their thought or their opinion in the right way, not just shut down or just censor.
Can I have a follow-up question? First of all, it's not really clear whether the lèse majesté is really just about the king, because I believe that Thai people love the king very much. It could be other members of the family, or the institution of the monarchy. Is that what it's really very critical? I mean, if you criticize the institution of the monarchy, which is now, a very debated thing, particularly since the king is very sick and they don't know who will inherit the throne and they don't like the crown prince. Well, I may be guilty of lèse majesté, yes, if I was in Thailand for doing that, exactly. So could you, and also, when I was there, criticizing the Supreme Patriarch was also not lèse majesté, but also liable. Is that the case still now?
Actually, the lèse majesté law is problem by itself because of if you look at the jurisdiction system, there is no standard about this law. So maybe you just criticize Democrat Party, and someone can sue you by the lèse majesté as well. And or sometimes we talk about the noble, just like the red shirt leader, just talk about we want to just step down the noble, and that's it. They were sued due to the lèse majesté as well. It depends on this is like it's like a political mechanism to just shut people opinion. So yes, it's political tool to just shut people opinion. Don't say anything against the authorities, so that you can be sued due to the lèse majesté or maybe Computer Crime Act.
I think there is a question as well here.
Salam, good morning. Ibu Yuli, my question is to you. I'm just a very novice reporter compared to the wealth of experience that you have. But one thing that keeps coming across my desk and a lot of my colleagues is that we are seeing more and more conflict-based information regarding extremism or even the differences of opinion between values of religion, values of nationalism, for example, between Malaysia and Indonesia. And when we look at all this, yes, on hindsight, we think that having freedom of expression is good, but there are limits to what you can say about the religion. They are a test of faith and conflicting areas of faith and belief, especially so in Southeast Asia, when the majority of the people, 70% of their income is based on livelihood for the day. How do we put across this discourse? Because if you say that in Ambon, they have already existed media just for the Christian, media just for the Muslims. So there is also a freedom of expression, but if that is allowed to grow, then confrontational reporting will be the main thing that we'll see coming out of that.
I really believe that you cannot compromise on the truth. There are many ways of explaining a situation. I think it's our responsibility, the editors especially, who have access to all resources, including maybe inaccessible ones, when I say classified, and maybe in the case of religious leaders, those who will not speak publicly but will speak on background. It is a very sensitive line, I realize, having had this kind of problems happening in Indonesia on how to write, on how to present our reports informatively, objectively, and yet without the report being leading to further problems. It's difficult, but it is a challenge. But again, I am fortunate that in Indonesia, we can say we are free to, as in the Philippines, not as free as the Philippines, I think. But there are these constraints that you mentioned that we have to account for. And that's why it's so very important to be checking your facts. But I don't think that we should compromise the truth, you know. And if you see the press in Indonesia, I can say for Malaysia, that there are different kinds of presses. There are those who will not say, but there are those that will come out, whatever the consequences. And I think that at the end of the day, I think informing the public of what is going on truthfully is really the best policy.
Salam. Before we offer you 15-minute breaks, during the coffee you can as well ask questions to the panelists. I suggest to have anyway one more question from the room. This table, obviously.
Thank you very much. I'm Tessie from the Philippine Red Cross. My question is to Mr. Isagani Yambot. Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Yambot, for your support to the Philippine Red Cross. Philippine Daily Inquirer has been supporting Red Cross through our press releases, so that's a very big help. Now, in the recent global communications workshop that we had, one of the issues that was highlighted was that in many countries, several media outlets are putting up, their own foundations, their own charity work, and doing similar work as Red Cross and other humanitarian organizations. So this poses a challenge or a so-called competition, because now many humanitarian organizations, are competing for donations, for media exposure, for media space, things like this. So what can you say about this, Mr. Yambot? Thanks.
I'm sorry, but we cannot regulate these organizations because, as you know, we have the freedom to form organizations in our country. There is no limitation. What we can probably do is have these organizations, the heads of these organizations, meet one of these days and try to agree on certain rules, guidelines, so that there will be no competition, so that there will be coordination in the distribution, let's say, of aid, in the campaigns for donations, etc. What we need is some rationalization about their functions and their activities. We have to have some rules and some order. Otherwise, there's going to be competition for publicity, for donations, for being the first to go to, let's say, a disaster area. But that's good because there will be a concentration of assistance activities. But sometimes this can be dysfunctional. Dahil, for instance, one area will be receiving all the aid because it's a high-profile area. Another area will be neglected. So there has to be some rationalization of activities, some coordination, and this can be done by having the heads of these organizations meet and agree on certain guidelines, certain programs.